Hey, everybody. Welcome to Billions, right? The podcast. It's the behind the scenes look at a billion-dollar brokerage. And we're going to talk about the goods, the bads, the uglies, the problems, the trials, the tribulations, the successes, the joys, the tears, the celebrations, and everything that goes on to just on a daily basis, pretty much doing what we're doing. And for those who don't know us, I am Jeff Beggins, and I got my brother sitting right here,
Craig Beggins.
And then we've got Mike Puma, who's a partner with us in one of our companies here as well, and our chief marketing officer of the whole company. And we're excited to bring you this. And why are we doing this is pretty interesting. Mike, what's the origin of this, and what are we looking to accomplish?
Yeah, I think, so many times people see a business, or in our case, a real estate brokerage that has achieved a lot of success, a lot of scale. We're big. We just got named the 12th largest C21 in the United States out of nearly 9,000 companies. So they see that and it's like, oh, they must be lucky. It must have happened, overnight. Like that's the assumption, right? And the reality is this has been 31 years in the making. And really, it's been even longer than that. And we'll dive into that origin story. And so the purpose of this is to give you guys a peek behind the curtain, explain the journey that we've been on and explain kind of where we're going and why we do the things we do, and the good, the bad, and everything in between that has happened and continues to happen on a daily basis as we try and really are on a mission to jump another 11 spots so that we can be number one in the world. I mean, objectively, that's our goal.
Somebody's going to might as well be us, right?
Why not?
Well, I want to add to that. I want to add real quick, though.
Yeah.
Because if you're an HGTV follower, there's a bunch of shit out there that makes it look like it's all glamour. And I will tell you firsthand, we did an HGTV show, and I can't tell you how many people still come to me and say, did that family love that house? There was no family. There was no house. It was all staged. The entire thing was actors, right? So when you're watching HGTV, you're seeing actors portraying things. And we want to tell you the real story behind real estate, right? It's not $1 million condos in New York City and girls in high heels and short skirts making those shows are fake. I can show you the production of those agents, right? It's not real. So this is real. This is 31 years worth of experience saying, no, you have to work, right? There's no way around it. There's no.
Even Ryan Surant tells his story all the time about when he auditioned for $1 Million Listing. He never sold a property before. He had just gotten his license and just showed up to the casting call, hoping to get in, right? And these were supposed to be the top agents in New York, and that's what he got instantly portrayed at. And that certainly helped propel his brand to where it is today. And certainly today, he probably is one of the top agents in the world. But he didn't start that way either. It was all kind of this TV show magic, if you will. But right. We digress.
Well, this is our second year of over $1 billion in sales, which is kind of fun, right? And we just see a trajectory, and we'll get later into why we're growing and where we're growing to and how we're doing it, which we will get to. But I think it's important. Let's back up, Craig, and let's go to the origin of how this started. Because I know a lot of people watching are agents that are aspiring to maybe become a team, or maybe a team lead, or start their own brokerage, or grow their own team and a network, whatever it may be. But if you're watching this, you might most likely want to have some growth. So we're going to kind of go through what our growth trajectory was to kind of maybe shorten your process, your journey, or give you some tips and tricks of things we did and maybe we shouldn't have done, or what we did, what's working, kind of where we're going. But let's go back to, how did this start, right? We weren't always here. So let's go back to the basics. Where did we begin? Backstory.
I always like to say I've never had a job, right? I'm 54 years old. I went to elementary school, junior high, senior high, went to college, University of Florida, got my real estate license. Growing up, our father, Dad, Jim Beggins, was a manager of a real estate office in Miami, Florida, right? To make extra money, because he was also a bellhop at the Bel Air Hotel in Miami Beach. And was trying to provide for his family. And so he got a real estate license, became a real estate agent, became a real estate manager. And then this thing happened in 1970s. That's what, 50 years ago now. And it was called franchising. And there's two guys in California that said, hey, we got this idea. We're going to have this thing called Century 21. We're going to take it nationwide. And we're going to brand this thing. And so Dad went out to California and learned about that and ended up becoming the master franchisor for Century 21 for Florida, South Florida anyway, from Orlando to Key West. And Dad built a sales force and went out and sold 320 Century 21 franchisees from Orlando to Key West. Right. And that took 10 years to get there. And then he sold that company and made a bunch of money, and then moved the family to Tampa and became a real estate developer. And we landed in this little town where I'm in right now called Apollo Beach. And he started a real estate company called Symphony Realty. And we had a Symphony Builders, and we had Symphony Realty Development. So we developed a lot, we built houses and we sold houses. And I was in college. So I got my real estate license at 18, never had a job, right? I'm sorry, I did have a job. I had to scrape concrete slabs for Symphony Builders, which taught me that I didn't want to do that. And from that point, Symphony Realty became a real estate company that sold a bunch of stuff, mostly that we owned. And then relationships happened. And that's what happens, right? Because we talk about talking to people. And we built relationships, and I built a relationship with a builder. And ironically, it happened that the builder had bought a Century 21 franchise from our dad in the 70s. And this is a son who's surviving the father. And he comes to me from hard work and says, hey, you're really young and aggressive. I'm 23 years old. Why don't you buy my real estate company? And so I called the guy my dad sold the company to and said, hey, can I buy this franchise? He goes, hell yeah, you can. So we bought a Century 21 franchise in 1992. This is 2023, so that's 31 years ago. And we became Century 21 Beggins Enterprises instead of Symphony Realty. And that set off a cast of growth that was really, really, really important, because it was about training, right? Back then, we didn't have internet. We had to get in a car and drive across the state to Fort Lauderdale to go to training and learn and meet people and integrate, and relationships were formed. And over time, different brokers came to me and said, you're young and aggressive. Why don't you buy my company? Because I don't want to do this anymore. So we bought an office and bought another office and bought another office and bought another office and just kept buying offices. And now we are with, 8 physical locations and a virtual office that is, producing over $1 billion a year in sales. Long story short.
Yeah, that's a super abbreviated version of it, but I want to add a couple of points to that. So you mentioned culture, and for those watching that want to grow anything, whether it's just your own business, you've got to create a culture of your own. Want to build a team, you got to want to build a brokerage, you need a culture of your own. And what we did from our organic growth was that we didn't just buy an office and bring volume in. Now there's a lot of people doing that, just going to buy, do an M&A, do a roll in, and they don't care about the culture, right? And what we're doing is a lot more deliberate. We're getting kind of a little ahead of what the whole process of this whole podcast will be, but we are very committed to having a specific culture, a specific way to do things that work best for our customer and give our agents the best lifestyle they possibly can. And there's only one way to do that. It's to really prescribe the systems, right? Which requires a culture. So while we've done what we've done, it's taken a long time, because very easily we could just go buy an office everywhere and just get the volume play. But that's not really what we want, because it's the goal here is to create a cool tribe. Always has been. Have fun, make money is one of our big business models. And we got to make sure that people that we associate with like to have fun, like to make money, and they're doing something to put a big ass smile on their face, right? So from the very beginning of the company to today and to 20 years from now, that overlying arching theme of having fun and making money and live a lifestyle that puts a big ass smile on your face is what drives the culture and every decision we make as a company. Is it going to help the agents? Is it going to get them better? And that's been from when we had 3 agents down to we have 600 of them right now, right? And so that's for those watching that are looking to grow something. You can't just bring people on to have volume. That'll kill your culture. That'll destroy your company. And it ultimately will eat you alive. Right. And that's the big mistake we see a lot of people doing right now.
And I want to make sure we give you guys kudos, right? Because I talk to a lot of our prospective agents through the recruiting process, and one of the questions that always comes up is, how is culture? And culture is very easy to build when you're small, right? When you guys first started one office, there's only a handful of you. It's easy. As that office gets bigger, it gets a little bit more challenging. As you open that second office, it gets even more challenging. As you start to spread out and your leadership team starts to spread out, that gets even more challenging. And then we decided in our case to start spreading out across the entire state of Florida. So now we just don't even weren't in one market. That gets extremely challenging. But the one thing that we've been able to maintain, which is super challenging, is that culture, despite growing from 4 to 600 agents, right, across the entire state and soon country. And I truly believe that we've been able to maintain that. I mean, and we're not just saying this. This is a culture that's been awarded, right? We were just named for the 14th straight year a top workplace. 14 straight years, right? That's a big deal. And it's something that I'm super proud of when we go through our stats. Yeah, we've done 1 billion. Yeah, we've got hundreds of agents. Yeah, we've done this. We're selling 5 to 10. Those are all great stats. But the one that I am most proud to talk about is that one. Because that stat to me says, guys, despite all the growth, despite the scale, despite all of that, we've been able to maintain a family-driven culture that is all about having fun and making money. And I credit that 100% to YouTube, because what has happened is you guys show up every day. We have a morning huddle every morning for an hour. And you guys don't mail that in and say, yeah, you guys can handle it. Because you could. You know, we're $1 billion. You don't have to be in that every day. You could be out by the pool hanging out. You could be on a golf course. You could be out on the boat. You could do a million other things, which a lot of brokers of very large real estate companies do. But you don't. You guys are in it every day. You're in that huddle and you're setting the tone. And that not only sets the tone for the agents, it sets the tone for the leadership team. And because of that, we've assembled, in my opinion, one of the strongest leadership teams in the industry. And that has allowed us to continue to grow with one message, one voice, one culture, despite the fact that we speak 37 different languages, despite the fact that we're in, pretty much every single market in Florida and soon to be in multiple states. And so that, for those of you trying to build something, that's what it takes. It takes showing up. It takes that dedication. And that to me is super, super challenging. And if you're not committed to that, it won't happen.
But thank you for saying that.
Awesome. Thank you.
It's cool. It's cool to see that. And, a lot of that's true. We don't have to do that, but we kind of do, because it's the culture, as you say, top down from where we are. We push 4 things, right? Clarity, focus, action, and accountability, right? That's what we do to our sales force. That's what we do for ourselves, right? So we have to have the clarity as leaders. And those of you watching, you got to have clarity on what do you want your business to be. I know that we're going to be all over the country. I know we're going to have 21,000 salespeople. Awesome ones. We could have 200,000 of them, but we don't want that. We want 21,000 awesome ones, right? In the markets that we're going to be going into. And we know what that's going to do. So you have clarity. Then now we have focus on how we're growing, right? And how we're recruiting, how we're retaining, how we're training, how we're delivering our culture, right? And how this is going to look, right? Because that's our commitment, that's our clarity, that's our focus. And then we're taking action to do what we can to put out the content, to put out the attract and repel strategies, to make sure that people see the one voice, one mission, what we're doing, because we're not changing it. If we're so true to ourselves, guys. I mean, we are what we are, we do what we do, we wear what we wear, we say what we say, right? That's just the way it is. And anybody that's successful, you as agents or team leaders or brokers yourselves, you got to be you, right? 100%, because you are you anyway. So if you try to not be you, cover it up, you're going to look like a fraud and no one's going to be attracted to you at all. So might as well just throw it on out there. This is us, guys. This is our vision. This is our focus. This is how we do it. If you like it, we're building a cool tribe of people. Come on board. If you don't like it, best of luck to you. Peace out. Sell our shit later. Right? That's the mindset of what we do. And it doesn't matter the feedback, right? It doesn't, because we have such clarity on where we're going and what our focus is. And that's kind of what we really preach nonstop to the agents, because, why come to work unless you have a reason to go to work?
Well, I think we also need to call out the bullshit, right? There's a lot of concepts that say, come work for me, I'll give you 110% or whatever it is. But those agents don't do anything, right? I was trained when I started at a very young age. Recruit, coach, train, retain, and administer company policies. I'm sorry, that is just part of my embodiment. That's what we do. We recruit, coach, train, retain, and administer company policies. There's a Florida Real Estate Commission that has rules. And I'm very proud that our agents know what they're doing. And after 50,000 plus real estate transactions, not one problem, never brought in front of the Real Estate Commission. Our agents know what they do. And if they don't, they've got somebody to go to help them figure out what they do before they do it. And that's just, for me, I don't want to have 1,000 agents or 2,000 agents do a bunch of transactions and get sued all the time. Right? That's just not right. So I'm super proud of our agents. And, we do have this embodiment of empower, educate, and encourage. And the culture is what it is. Some agents join our company and say, this isn't for me, and they leave, which is great. Some agents say that, oh my God, I found my home. It's perfect. Right. And that's your attract and repel strategy. Right. We're not for everybody. I mean, we're taking 100 agents on a yacht next month, or this month. Actually, it's February now. So just for a 3-hour cruise, a little dinner thing, because thank you. Right. Nobody's doing stuff like that because they're all whoring themselves out for, $69 a month or whatever it is. Right. So we've got a whole different concept of growing people, and it's fun.
Well, we got a concept of growing people that want to grow, right?
Right.
It's kind of a fundamental truth on this thing, because you've got to know what you want, because you watching, you know how hard it is. It's so difficult. We go through it every quarter, right, Greg? Like, what is our vision now? Are we still wanting what we want, right? Mike, we talk about that all the time. Is this what we want? Is this really what we want? Now that we have some feedback from the last quarter, do we want to keep doing it this way? Or do we want to pivot a little bit, right? Is this creating the lifestyle? Are you enjoying the process? Is this what we want to do, right? All these things you get to revisit every quarter, right? Because you have that clarity of the lifestyle that's going to put a big ass smile on your face, right? And your business can either add to that and make that happen quicker, or it could detract to that and get in the way of you having that. So, but it depends on how you set up your business. So what we've decided to do is create that clarity, vision, focus, and then create the culture that we enjoy, people that we enjoy, processes that we enjoy. If you don't really like the way we do it, then please don't be here, right? Because we're true to the process that we know works really well.
We're not changing.
Well, and we show that, right? I think I'd be hard pressed to find another brokerage that's as transparent in the recruiting process as we are. And we hear that a lot because we show them everything, right? And I know that was something I really wanted to implement when I first came, because I played baseball in college. I'm actually wearing the UT baseball shirt, but one takeaway that I had during that recruiting process was I got to go see it, right? When you get recruited for a sport in college, I got to go see multiple schools, got to go see the facilities, watch them practice, meet with all the coaches, sit in meetings, understand their philosophy, tour the campus. Like, I got an inside look before I made a decision, because the last thing they wanted to do was tie up scholarship dollars, bring me in, me get there, see the facilities, meet some of the coaches, see how they do things, like, nope, I hate it here, and leave, right? That's a waste of their recruiting time, effort, dollars, and scholarship money. And so then you get into the business world and specifically the real estate model, and you guys watching our agents, right? How many of you have gone in an interview where they're like, oh, you have a pulse? Cool, sign here. It happens all the time. And we didn't want to do that. So, we show you content, right? It's one of the reasons we produce so much content, because I want to be able to send you somewhere. I want you to be able to watch it. I want you to be able to see that, yeah, sometimes we cuss. Craig has a ponytail. We're like, we are who we are, and I want you to see that. I want you to see that. And then if you're still like what we do and how we do it and how we say it, awesome. Come here, right? We're gonna do everything in our power to help you. If you don't, cool, no harm, no foul. Go find somewhere else, right? And so we try and do that very early on in the process. But I also think, going back to the kind of the clarity thing, is you got to enjoy what you're doing, right? And if you're waking up every day and you're miserable, you have to change. We could have built $1 billion brokerage and had a miserable time doing it, right? We could have gone out and bought brokerages just to buy them and bring in teams and bring in agents and hate them and never want to see them, but they bring in money, and the number that we were gaining could have been $1 billion, could be more, could be a $2 billion brokerage, right? But we'd hate ourselves every day for getting up and having to deal with these people that we don't want to deal with and do things we don't want to do. Or we could not even focus on the billion, because I never heard us once say, hey, you know what'd be cool if we become $1 billion brokerage. Those words were never said. Doing $1 billion was never even discussed, talked about on any mission statement. It was never the goal. It just happened by default, because what was on the goal was having fun, making money, empowering, educating, and encouraging our agents. That was our goal. And because we woke up every day finding new innovative ways to do that, finding new ways to challenge them, showing up, being present, amassing a leadership team that could live those guidelines and help implement them. Those things, because that was our mission, led to the results that we're now getting, which happen to be $1 billion brokerage. But we've had a lot of fun along the way. We've had a lot of challenges along the way. There's been a lot of stress along the way. There's times where things get a little crazy. There's pitfalls for sure, but we're still waking up every day and having a good time. There's still a lot of laughs. There's still a lot of energy. And I for one, every day, I mean, Jeff and I probably have a new business idea by 6:30 every morning, and then we stress Craig out with that and try and implement it by noon that day. And that's just part of our process, because we love it. Every day I'm waking up, you know what? Like, I had a thought this morning on my run. We have a tool leveraging AI that we built for our agents that allows them to create content. And I realized today we have 37 different languages are spoken in our brokerage. I said, wait a minute, I could rewrite the tool that they get to pick their language. What language do they want it in? I'm going to now program the AI where not only can they create content, they're going to be able to create it in any language they want. Why not? It's the capabilities there. Yeah, it's a little bit of work, but they're going to be able to do that now. Right. And that literally came to me this morning. We'll have it done this afternoon, because it brings value to the agent. And that's important to me. So I'm going to do everything in my power to go do it.
Well, but that's a key point right there from what you just talked about, because literally the meetings we have multiple times a week are about what can we implement that will make our agents more efficient, more effective, more profitable, and by default, us more profitable as well. So we consistently relook at our tech stack. What other offers can we bring to it? How do we get the word out about that new system, right? How do we vet out the news? I mean, how many new systems do we vet out on a monthly basis?
A lot.
Dozens, right? And most of them end up in the trash can because they're not worth the implementation time to do it for the agent's businesses or our business. So then we really go through and say, what can we add in from a tech suite perspective, from a marketing suite perspective, from a back office perspective? I mean, the staff that we have that takes care of people's loadings and marketings and photo placements and photo labelings and contracts and questions and all the just compliance, right? That alone could be a multi-episode topic, which we will get into about how the things we put together. So it starts with having the people that have a vision, but then you have to have the systems in place, and they're extremely expensive, right? And that's a big problem that I'm seeing out in the industry is a lot of people start these teams or mega teams or whatever you want to call. So, but what do you put in place? Because when you don't have any revenue coming in, how do you provide services and systems? And some people say, well, you don't need services and systems. We'll just give them a big split. You can't build a culture and you can't help an agent if you don't have systems in place and people in place to help them execute, right? So you have to find that delicate balance between return on investment, profitability, and fairness, right? Between the agents and the brokerage, because everyone's got to be on the same page that if you want these things, they don't just grow on a tree, right? And if you want them, we have to make them happen. But we have to make them happen by doing more business. So a lot of the education is getting surrounded by people that actually understand that and realize that it's more about what your 1099 looks like at the end of the year versus what your split may be or your profit share or whatever you want to call it these days, right? So it's a business, right? It's an entrepreneurial business that we're all in, and we have to continually innovate, continually bring value, and continually just change, right?
And you're not in a vacuum, right? Everybody thinks I'm an independent contractor. The biggest problem in the industry is I can do whatever I want to do. You're missing the focus. The focus is a system to get things done. So what we've done a really good job at, in my opinion, so far this year, is the clarity, focus, actions, and accountability statements, right? And it's hard. It's really hard because we really think about these things. You know, let's face it, we make maybe $5,000 to $10,000 every time we do a deal or more. That's a lot of money, right? So what are you going to do with that money? What's that money for? Right? So we want clarity on your big why. And then we realize that a lot of people that get into real estate don't have a why, right? So we came up with some whys. Number one, I'm moving to the clarity section now. As a human being at this point, you should have enough cash in your checking account to provide 6 months worth of payroll or expenses, right? 6 months. For me, that's $2.5 million. To you, it's probably, $5,000 a month times 6 is $30,000. You should have that much cash in the bank. So if something catastrophic happens, you can be safe. Safety is a big part of human being, right? And then once you have that, if you don't have that, you should not be going to buy a boat, right? No, don't go buy a new boat. You don't have the cash to do it. So number one, and this is Dave's Ramsey theories. Number two, after you have your safety account, you need to have a get rid of your bad debt. If you're paying credit card debt at 18%, you're a moron. So go sell a freaking house and pay off your credit card debt, or 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever it takes, because so many people. And then student debt is a whole nother realm in this world where a lot of people have it. And that's a bad problem. So let's get some cash in the bank. Let's work on this. And so we're so blessed as real estate agents to be able to make $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 on a sale and then apply that and solve that problem. So imagine what your life is like when you've got 6 months worth of savings in the checking account. You've got no bad debt. And I say bad debt, meaning, credit cards and student loans, cars and all that's just fine. Right? And then what happens? It's called freedom. You go, now I can start making $10,000 or $15,000 on a transaction and put it towards something that will create income, right? But that's the clarity that we're trying to get everybody to think about. what can I do? Handle A, handle B, get to C and go, and then, oh my gosh, you get these opportunities. And it's so cool for us as the management to watch an agent go from A to B to C. And I'll go to a sales meeting and I'll say, raise your hand if you've got 6 months worth of cash in the bank. And 75% of the people put their hand up. That's pretty cool, right? Pressure one off. Number two, bad debt. Let's work on that. Number three, do that. And then you can start really living, right? And putting a big ass smile on your face.
And here's the important part about that. That juices us up, right?
It does, 100%.
Right. So the driving force is changing lives, right? And that's the whole thing. Empower, educate, encourage. You see it, the BE3 and everything that we do. Empower, educate, encourage. That's what we do. Empower, educate, encourage to live a lifestyle that puts a big ass smile on your face. And we prescribe it this way because it works and it's simple and we can work you through that process. But there's nothing better than having the agents come and say, debt free, here's my cut up credit cards, done, right? Look, student loan statements gone, right? Look, I just bought my first investment house, right? Just bought my second investment house. Look at all this stuff. I just bought a car, but guess what? Car is paid for from the income from the investment house I bought last year, right? So they're walking through that. That's what makes it worthwhile. That's when the feedback that you need to keep going, because what do we learn from early age with dad, right? You help enough people get what they want. You never have to work or worry about anything for yourself, right? You just get whatever comes to you.
Everything you want in life, as long as you help enough other people get what they want.
That's right. And so that's the driving force. So if you're going into this business with a selfish mindset, you're not going to make it, right? You're just not. You might have a couple short-term successful moments, but you're not going to be in it. It's got to be about other people. It's got to be about serving people. It's got to be about helping people get to another level, and things will come back to you. It's just a unique, nice law.
Well, let me add this to that, because I'm sorry, we're a for-profit business.
Yep.
There's a lot of brokerages out there that will sacrifice anything to get a deal, and they're not profitable. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm profitable and we're proud of it because we provide value, right? Some of the deals that I'm seeing agents getting, it's like, who the heck who's going to F word? Who's going to do that? That's a stupid business decision for a broker to give an agent that much money when they do that. I'm sorry, we are for profit, but as a result, everybody profits substantially.
That's it. So that's just a nice little
Intro to a $1 billion company.
what we're going to do. We did a ton of topics. We could go on for a long time, and we will. And that's the background of Beggins. And hopefully you're going to enjoy this journey. We really enjoy empower, educating, encouraging. That's kind of our jam. And we're going to bring you as much value as we can as you go on your journey. And hopefully we cross paths. Maybe we go on it together someday. Who knows? But in the meantime, we're going to help everybody get to where they want to be. And that's kind of our jam. So I just want to say thanks for joining this journey, and like this, subscribe, make sure you get notifications when we shoot out the next ones. We'll be bringing these to you quite frequently and on that one. So, and this is for you guys. This is all of us in the industry. Let's help each other get to where we want, put a big ass smile on our faces. Good. So with that, that's my parting words. I want to say thank you to everybody, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome and amazing.